Hello. Hello, hello, warriors. Let's fix my crown. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining me. Today is another live testimonial session we're going to have. And we're going to have this with Warrior Mystery School alumni. Officially, she's an alumni because we completed the class of 2022 last week. So she will be joining me today. So Eagle, you can do that now. You can send your request. I think the request is that little plus that you are probably seeing. Is it really no volume? Okay. Can you all hear me? Hi, Eagle.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going really well. I just want to confirm if people can hear. Oh, yes. Okay. Little
I can.
says the sound is clear. It's also clear for you.
Yeah, I can hear okay. Can you hear me all right?
Okay. Yeah, I can. Yeah, oh my God, amazing. Welcome, Eagle. Welcome to today's session. We're just gonna, like reflect together, contemplate together your Warrior Mystery School experience, not student, your experience in the last year. I'm really excited to have you here. If you're joining us live, let us know that you're here. Warrior of Light, hashtag Warrior of Light, hashtag replay if you're watching this as the replay. And yeah, we're gonna jump in. So how are you feeling, Eagle?
Good. It's a little early here on my end, but I'm here. I'm ready for it. And yeah, I just want to thank you, Joy, for having me today. And I'm just so honored. I've been reflecting all week on just this whole journey. So I'm excited to get to kind of chat with you a little bit more one-on-one and yeah, just go a little bit deeper into what this whole experience was about and how it really transformed my life this last year. So thank you.
Wow. Yeah, I'm really excited to have you here and contemplate with you. Yeah, definitely. I was also thinking about it because I think you kind of just applied and jumped in, but we've never actually went to like, but hey, how did you actually come, to discover me and even the process of making the decision to join the Warrior Mystery School? How did that happen for you? So we can start there, I think. Let's start.
Yeah,
Yeah, go. Yeah.
it's funny. I was thinking about that last night because I was like, I have a feeling Joy's going to ask me this. And it feels a little fuzzy that time frame because it was around the end of 2020 that I had started finding kind of a whole new group of quantum healers and people that were speaking about things that were just much different than what I had been kind of hearing in the spiritual community. And I had been coming to a realization of a lot of the false light that was within the spiritual community. And so I don't remember. I know I must have just found you through like someone posting your stuff. And I think I probably read the post. And I know when I found you, I just immediately started. I remember the first information I found was around one of the ancestral healing classes, one of the master classes that you offer. And so it was through that. And then I did the 3-day master class with you. And I was like, this person is speaking about all of the stuff that it just felt so resonant. I don't even know how to explain it. It was the frequency, the vibration of your words and what you were sharing was just so deeply felt within me. And yeah, after that, then I saw that you had Warrior Mystery School, and I was like, I've got to do this. So,
Yeah, yeah, I do remember that masterclass. I think it was the Ancestral Path
I think
masterclass
so.
that yeah that we did last year, and then yeah, it was an activation for the Warrior Mystery School. So then you joined the Warrior Mystery School, and I know the experience was quite different for you as well, because there you were joining a group of the Southern African women. Majority of the Warrior Mystery School are the Southern African women. So yeah, the experience must have been different for you or unique. So yeah, going back to like what that opened you up to just at the beginning, and then just yeah taking it from there.
Yeah, I definitely was a bit intimidated and also just kind of felt like, is this the right place for me? Because it was all of these beautifully strong, you know, South African women primarily. And I was like, I don't know if I fit in here or if this is like the space for me. But I remember feeling so comfortable with you in the discovery call. Um, and yeah, I think throughout this whole process that there was a lot that came up around, obviously we were doing so much ancestral healing. So it was a way for me, you know, I started to really reflect on, you know, I'm here in the States, I'm in the United States, I live in New Mexico right now. I didn't grow up here, I grew up on the East Coast, but I think a lot of us here as Americans are so disconnected from our ancestry because we kind of grew up in this whole other world here in America that's kind of very disconnected from a lot of culture and things like that. So I know from my own experience that that was a beautiful way for me to really start to reconnect with like who I was and where I come from, and it was all of this information that I wasn't even aware of. And so being able to do that, that journey of connecting with my ancestors, and also the logistical part of it, of finding out where my ancestors really came from, what they were carrying, what their experiences were like, it allowed me to feel, you know, more comfortable in that space, because it wasn't about, you know, my skin color or me living in the United States and not being, you know, in Africa. It was more so about all of us being here on this genetic path cutter journey, and that goes across all time, space, and dimension, and race, and all of those things. You know, it's not to exclude anybody if they feel called. You know, if someone feels called to that, then I think very much so that it's part of your journey. So
Yeah, definitely. I love that. I was just sharing with you before the call about like my realization of the importance of spiritual education, which is part of what we do a lot in the mystery school to really re-educate ourselves on who we are really, you know, as spiritual multidimensional beings, and also the purpose why we're here, right? And I was just sharing with you that I'm really realizing that because we lack spiritual education, true spiritual education, there are just so many experiences that we navigate that become extra difficult because we don't know, we don't understand, right? And I know that there's so many teachings from the Warrior Mystery Schools that are yeah that we really explored and contemplated for the in the past year. But yeah, I just wanted to hear your experiences in terms of like the teachings that really, you know, created a shift for you, that really, yeah, you know, stayed with you. I know that many, but maybe a couple of them. Yes, maybe two, three main ones. Yeah.
yeah, I know. I was just sharing with you. I was like, how am I gonna just break this down into just a few? Because honestly, the more I reflect on it, it is so expansive. There's so much that yeah, that just shifted so many different aspects and facets of my life. Um, I think one of the biggest ones for me was understanding, as I had come into the realization of all of the false light within the spiritual community and a lot of the misinformation that was given throughout so many different teachings, and it's on the end of religion into spiritual practices, where this misinformation comes through. But it was really, I guess I would say, comforting to understand how this realm really works, how we exist here, and the laws and things that are in place, that essentially really direct how we exist in this world and how we can function in this world. It's really up to us. So learning about the hyperdimensional forces, and not being stuck in this victim mindset and programming of feeling like we're helpless and we can't do anything, when we see, a lot of the, terrible things that go on in this world. It's not to succumb to the victim mind frame of it. It's a way to understand how to really find that center point, that 0 point, so that we can ground and be grounded in our truth, in the truth of who we actually are, in the truth of the living light of pure source consciousness, and how we can navigate life in a better way to not be overwhelmed by the media, all of the things that we see, all of the terrible, destructive, depressing things that are happening in this world. So that was a huge one for me. I think a few other things that really stood out for me.
One moment. I don't know if I keep hearing something in the background. Do you hear that?
I hear children.
Well, no. The children are part of background music, but this one is more of like I don't know, like something is moving. I don't know if it's, you don't have headphones on, so I don't know what is it that I'm hearing. But
hear me okay though?
I can hear you. I guess it must be my headphones. I don't know. Okay, continue. Sorry.
No,
I
it's
would
okay.
leave with the, yeah. Yes. Okay. So it's a cricket. So it's not just me. Is it
we
a cricket, or because you are in the desert, so it may be there must be a cricket somewhere
There is a
there.
cricket in the room that I'm in this morning. I was sitting tea and I heard like a little movement, and I looked behind me and I was like, oh, it's a cricket in the room. So I'm not
Uh,
hearing it though, so now I feel a little crazy that I'm not hearing the cricket.
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna remove the headphones and add them again.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Are you still hearing it?
Right now it's not there, but we can hear you. We can all hear her, so it's okay. We will live with the cricket in the same way we're living with the children.
Oh
Yes.
man. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I think some of the other, I was just sharing with you this morning before we came on this call, that one of the most transformative things that really stuck with me and really helped me on this journey was that last year we were right in the midst of really digging into our ancestry and working with our ancestors, and that was when my father passed. And that the teachings that you brought forth around the death process, the physical death process, and what happens to us as we come in and out of physical forms and existences, that was some of the most helpful and also just comforting medicine and information that I could have received at that time, because obviously we know we had been working on our father wound, our mother wound, all of these wounds, and I was like, I'm not going to cry on this live.
But this is your gift.
I know. So everybody laughs at me in Warrior Mystery School because I'm always the one that cries.
Send her some love, warriors. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I don't think that I could have gotten through that process in the way that I did. I wouldn't have been supported in the way that I was if I wasn't in Warrior Mystery School during that process. And, you know, it was just incredible to go through that. And like literally one of my guides that was, that had been showing up a lot in the work I was doing, was shown in physical form to me during that time. And it was like, I was just blown away at that point. I was like, is Joy here with me now? Is she watching this happen? It was, yeah, it was so powerful. So yeah, learning about that whole process of you know, and that's something that all of us have always, or I don't want to say all of us, but I'm sure a lot of people are always very curious about is like what happens when we do physically pass out of this life, and what does that entail? What does that look like? What is that process like? And so to be shown that information, but also, you know, run it through my own system and realize that there was so much truth to that. Like that is, again, it was just a full-on remembrance of it because we've all been through that process. So it was remembering that process in which we go through as we come in and out of existences. So yeah, there's so many, you know, I think the last, thing that I would probably add to all of that is really just the journey back home to myself, which was through reconnecting with God. And, you know, because of my own upbringing and the religious, you know, indoctrination that I was given as a child that did not resonate with me, I was very turned off by the word God, by anything in, you know, kind of that realm. I had just shut it out of my life. So to come into this reconnection in the way that you bring it forth was, yeah, I like still can't put words onto it. It's still like settling into me, and it's still me coming back into a full remembrance of who I am and what I come from. And yeah, it was just a really beautiful process. So thank you.
Wow. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, wow. Just all these 3 points that you've shared, you know, it's interesting when I was transmitting where I Mystery School, like before I started to launch and open it and have the first cohort, I remember actually the beginning of where I Mystery School is the year 2014, and I was reading a book called The Nature of Personal Reality by Jane Roberts. As you may know, I speak a lot about Jane Roberts and her influence in my life. And in The Nature of Personal Reality, it really breaks down what our reality is. And from the moment of how we enter the earth, you know, through the birth process, and what is truly happening when we are having the life experience and then the death process. And particularly this book, what it was highlighting, which is what I also highlight a lot, is this inner integrity that we have as souls, this deep sovereignty that you are always where you're supposed to be, you know, and that you have the entire God power within you, right? And you always will have it. And you may have support along the way through like physical support, like I've been for you, as well as the spiritual support that's available for us, you know. And for me in 2014, I remember when I read that book, I put it down and I was like, this is what we should have been taught growing up, you know. And then I was like, I'm going to teach people this. These are the teachings I want to teach. And of course, when I was writing my modules, I was like, we need to learn about what death is, because there's just so much fear around death and what it means. We live our whole lives trying not to go through that experience of death, and we don't even allow ourselves to contemplate it, because when we do, it will make us ask ourselves, what is even the purpose of me being here? What is the purpose of my life? Right? Because I think we keep thinking we have time, and then we realize, towards the end of our lives, that yes, we did have time, but we could have lived our lives more deeply, more vastly, more holistically, more boldly. Right? And this is part of why we do ancestral work. We do ancestral work because so many of us come from lineages where we have our ancestors who didn't understand the nature of our personal reality. And so they put their dreams aside, they put the conversations they were supposed to have aside, and the love that they were meant to share with each other aside. And then, we leave just always thinking, oh, one day I will do it. And then we never do it. And I know that death of a loved ones has this power to just kind of like put the light on for you to realize, oh, I must live boldly. One of uh, the transformations that you also mentioned you went through is moving away from that victim consciousness to where you are today. So just wanting to also dive deep to like your own inner reclamations, right? Moving away from that victim, seeing yourself as that, and the bold timeline now you're stepping into, the purpose you're now stepping into. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, it's such a deep one for me, and I think also for a lot of people, because we do, we realize that we're this tiny speck in such a grand, vast scheme of things, but really, we've been told as humans, we've been discredited about our power and how much we can actually make huge changes and shifts, and ultimately, shift this entire paradigm. The old way is dying out now. So I think that's why so many of us are coming into this realization right now, because we are really the ones individually and also collectively to make these enormous shifts in the way that we exist in this world, because we see all around us that there shouldn't be this pain and suffering. There shouldn't be this constant lack for people and scarcity. And so for myself, I think I come from a bit of that victim consciousness within my family line, for sure. And really the biggest thing for me was to realize that, like, when I succumb to this victim mindset, I'm first and foremost, for myself, I'm letting go of all of my power. I'm really to everything else but myself. And I think that what I've really realized in this is, yes, there's all of these really serious and painful things that we go through in this human existence, but there's also a lightness and a joy and a happiness that we're supposed to experience here. And it ultimately really is up to us whether or not we want to experience that. And it's not a way to spiritually bypass all of the pain and suffering that is happening in this world, but it's a way to, one of my favorite, like, kind of lines that you've said throughout this course is like, we're in this world, but we don't have to be of it. And so realizing that I'm here and I'm existing in this realm, but I don't need to be a part of the ways in which humanity is manipulated and controlled, and particularly mind controlled in our existence here. So to be able to remove myself from that mindset and to realize that within each of us we have innately a great power that exists. And through this process of Warrior Mystery School, I've really started to understand where my greatest power lies. And you're, the one that has always supported that and has explained and showed me that that it's through, you always say that, it's usually through our deepest wounds or our biggest wounds or shadows that our greatest power, our greatest asset in who we are exists. And it's, as a child, I was heavily emotional, and throughout my, lifetime, I've been very emotional. And there's all these different things that get put on people that are emotional. Oh, you're too sensitive. You're too this. Stop crying about things, toughen up, all of this stuff. And really what I'm realizing is that my greatest power is actually in my ability to feel so deeply. I think I was like ignorant to the realization that people don't feel as deeply as I do. And what I really realized through so many of the other warriors through their own process and them confirming with me is that like I have that ability to help others feel really deeply into their emotions. And so what I'm learning right now is to not be I tell you guys, I have so many tears. It's like ridiculous. They're not always sad tears. I have a lot of happy tears. But it's not to be consumed by the emotional state. That's what I'm really still learning in my own process is how to function in this world and how to shield myself so that I'm not, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not put into a compromised position with the amount of how much I can feel so deeply. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting because big emotions have been coming up all around my sessions. I think even just really, I've been thinking a lot about how women are natural mystics, how women feel so deeply, and how the patriarchy has given us this new idea of strong women. And often when we learn about this from our mothers, it's always this not feeling, and for me, I'm like, it's actually the opposite. Like in my work, even as an oracle, the amount of feeling I'm required to go through for me to actually support someone, it's insane. And I mean, I am definitely one of those people who had to work so hard to allow myself to feel big emotions. And whenever we were in class, there would just always be this moment where you open, Mutika says, the tap of emotions. And it definitely, like, it's interesting because people think when you cry, it's going to terrify other people. And I guess it can. But what used to happen is that it actually opened up the heart, and we just start to feel, and it deepened the sisterhood that was existing with the other warriors, and just brought a deeper healing for everyone. Mostly though, I believe it also awakened the inner shaman, the inner mystic, the inner oracle within every woman who was in the same room as you. And I don't know like how others are feeling right now. But that's what big emotions do. They don't actually shut people down. They give us permission to feel. And we've been through so much in the last 2-3 years. And the most profound thing I've learned as someone who holds space for people is that it is always, always safe to feel, right? And incredibly welcome to cry. Like, I have this saying, if you're not crying every day, what are you even doing? Like, you must cry. Right? You must cry because there's so much to cry about. Like, even if it's yeah, not necessarily something sad that you're going through, but just crying because you see beauty, you love someone, yeah. Zinhle is saying, it always makes her feel better when someone is crying with me, right? Yeah. So big emotions
Yeah.
are the pathway for that inner mystic, the inner oracle, and the inner shaman, which I also know has quite opened up for you, your own inner oracle during this path as well. I mean, you were already doing work before, but we'd love to know how, yeah, what's been transforming for you in terms of the genetic pathcutter template that you hold.
Boy, where do I begin? Um, that's always the question with all of this is like, where do I begin? It goes so deep. Um, my path really started, as far as this whole spiritual and healing journey. My path began about 7.5 years ago, or actually, no, it was, I think, closer to 8.5. I had watched a documentary about this particular type of meditation and what it was doing for these inmates that were in prison, and the way in which it was really helping them to navigate life even behind bars. And I watched that documentary. I signed up to the next course that I could go to for that meditation, and that really was what started my whole path into my healing journey. Um, and for myself, for so long, I knew that I had so many deep wounds and traumas that I had not processed, and I lived with them on a daily basis. And I've learned, I mean, one, in the Warrior Mystery School, I've been able to get to the core of all of these wounds that are in this lifetime, and also others that that were in other timelines that I've existed in. But so many of the ones that I was really carrying in this life. And so I ended up, most of my journey these last 7 years has been working with energetic plant medicine. So I work with the plant spirit and the plant consciousness realm to create flower essences, which are energetic substances, or remedies, I guess you could say, that work on the emotional and the mental body. And that was really where, I learned all these different types of herbalism and ways in which to create these natural remedies. But there was something really about the energetic plant medicine that really called to me and really pulled me in, because it was a mirror for myself. It really allowed me to see how much I was storing in my mental and emotional body, within my subtle bodies, and how much was unprocessed there. So these flower essences started becoming this whole new world for me of navigating and learning how to process through these emotions. And the mindsets and the victim programming, all these different things, the fear, the scarcity, the lack, the depression, all of these different aspects that I had been carrying for so long. So I think now what I'm realizing, and I know you've shared with me on this journey, is that my work with the plant spirit realm is going to go much deeper. And I'm moving in the next couple of weeks to a whole new country, and I'm going to learn a whole new repertoire of plants, remedies and plants, and just be completely immersed in a whole new world, in my environment. And I'm so looking forward to it, because I know that through that process, there's going to be much that's going to come through as far as what what more can these remedies offer people? How much more I can deeply support people in their process. And really just what I'm noticing coming through, you know, back to the emotion thing, is that like my greatest gift that I can offer others, the service that I'm here to offer others, is really through allowing others to feel more deeply and to really understand that it's safe to feel, like you were saying. It's a very vulnerable place that we're in when we become emotional, and when the floodgates open, or like the tap opens, like Mitagazi says. So when we're in that state, you know, one of my greatest missions really is to like help others feel safe in that, and to hold that sacred space for them, so that they can start to understand their own emotions and how deeply they're able to feel, and that it's safe to go there. Because, you know, really, what are we doing as humans if we're not feeling? That's one of the things that kind of sets us apart as humans to all of these other species that exist, is our ability to feel so deeply. And our experience is much different as a species than so many others because of that one aspect. So yeah, I see the work really deepening more as far as supporting others in their emotional and mental processing.
Beautiful. I love that. When you're saying just what makes us unique as people is our ability to feel. I'm also, you know, I have been reiterating this a lot recently in sessions on how, you know, our capacity to feel, particularly our pain, to feel our grief, you know, when we allow ourselves to do that, it also actually opens our capacity to also feel love, to feel these other greater, maybe lighter emotions that we can talk about, to feel God in the body, you know, to feel spirit in the body. And I think if you've noticed also in the Warrior Mystery School, for us to be able to even arrive to the point of us looking at our God wound and beginning to repair our relationship with God, we had to first start with going through our relationship with ourselves and allowing ourselves to feel all the other parts of ourselves that we have suppressed, we have abandoned, and then going through our relationship with our mother and father and dealing with all those emotions. And each time you feel them, each time there's this greater sense of compassion and understanding that you start to, it's not even convincing yourself, it just happens so naturally, so deeply, that you forgive your mother, you forgive your father, you forgive yourself, and then love begins to just come through in such deep ways for ourselves, for our mothers, for our fathers. And then when we start to do with a bigger concept of God, it becomes easier, you know, as well. So I think like one of the things that I have really deeply cultivated in the mystery school and will continue to do it is just that space for us to learn how to feel and to know that it's safe, and to also know that this spiritual path, it can actually be navigated without that without your emotional body being part of it. It interestingly that in African spirituality, a lot of gifted people have a lot of dreams about the ocean, about the water body, right? And often we will also just kind of like jump to say, oh, it means that you are connected to the Nsunza spirit, you are connected to the water spirits, which is true. But I think also people understanding deeply that it also means the water is the emotional body. It also means you have deep emotions and you must feel them, and that you will heal yourself and others through these deep emotions, allowing space for these deep emotions to happen as well.
Yeah.
Right. So I know that that was also part of your awakening, your connection toward the waters as well. Right.
Yeah, it definitely was. I think it activated me so much that, that's one of the reasons that I am moving subconsciously, that it happened. There's many reasons around why I'm physically moving in life right now, but I have lived in the desert for the last 7.5 years, and it is so, it's been, there was so much medicine that I came here for, through the land, through the plants, through so much. But I've noticed there's this call back to the water. And I really think that returning back to specifically the ocean, because the ocean is so vast, it's the largest body of water that we encounter. It's the deepest body of water. There's so much unknown about the ocean. So, metaphorically, there's so much that you can kind of dive into as far as the water, and particularly the ocean, because I think it's that vastness, that depth of the ocean that really, I think, scares a lot of people. And when we think of that on a metaphorical level, I think it is, like we've been talking about, that fear around going deep within ourselves and our ability to feel. And when people do get uncomfortable around people that cry, because they don't know how to process that, they don't know how to support it, they don't know how to hold that space for people, because they haven't been doing it for themselves. So it becomes very intimidating and scary to be in that space with somebody if you haven't went there for yourself. So I very much agree that as on the healing path, the oracle or the shamanic, templating path, that it's very much needed for us to be able to access that depth of ourselves before we can support others.
Yes, definitely love that last line. There is so much responsibility that we have as genetic pathcutters, just generally being born as a person who can feel the pain of others, the pain of your family members. That's always it's always like this extra responsibility that we seem to have, that's different from others, who can just cruise in life and not feel anything, and later on, I think sometimes for many of us, we just shut that down. We just like, I can't, right? And then we begin our spiritual journey, and there's just a lot of hesitation to open that part of the self, because it's like, what's going to come up? But interestingly, all the time, whenever we do open it, we always find that it's always connected to our actual gifts, So someone was sharing here that, they dream of the ocean. And for me, I love the ocean as well. Not to go inside it. I just love to observe it and put my feet in there. But yes, the times that I've ever been there, I will not just go in the middle of the ocean and just swim. Like, am I crazy? What is going on? But I think one of the reasons why we dream a lot of the waters as genetic pathcutters is because the ocean is the body of the mother. It's the mother god, it's the expression of the mother as well. And so when we have these dreams of the ocean, it's really the call of the Holy Mother calling us. And what is the Holy Mother calling us to do? She's definitely calling us to feel the pain of our ancestors, so that we can purify our lineages, so that we can heal our lineages, obviously also heal ourselves and begin to create the lives, our ancestors' wildest dreams, So reiterating once again the big lesson around diving deeper to who you are, trusting that really the ocean will not really consume you. You will always float somehow. You always float back up in your life with whatever it is that you're going through. But just having that intentional relationship with the waters within yourself, your own ocean, really, really is a very powerful process. And I think when you were talking about the force light, what it does is that we come into spirituality and we think it's about the candles and the chakras. Oh, I'm gonna activate my chakras and my third eye, and I am talking to Archangel Michael. All these, you know,
Mm-hmm.
very exciting, very cool stuff. I'm time traveling to the Pleiades. That part of the journey for everyone, you know. But I think what the mystery school does is like it's to help us ground back to the earth and to deal with the actual issues that are holding us back from who we are and expressing that while we are alive, right?
Yeah.
And carrying these higher aspects of ourselves here on earth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
1,000% agree. I think that, you know, from what I can kind of see in my own scope and the own, you know, the community that I'm in and that I follow, you know, through social media is there's so many of us that fell into the new age trap and that are coming to that realization that, yes, we are these multidimensional beings. There are these other aspects of ourselves. We're not just limited to this earth plane, but we're here on this earth right now to experience this. And when we're, you know, what I noticed for myself in a lot of the teachings that I found in the New Age is that so many of them are to bring us out of our bodies and to disembody us. And there's very much happening. I know we've discussed this so much in the Warrior Mystery School about disembodiment and all the different things that we are seeing in this world, you know, right now as we speak that are pulling people out of their bodies, of their being, and how harmful that is, you know, when we do that, because that does allow for this kind of vacant, open space to be there for other things that can you know occupy us, other energies, other entities, and you know, from my own personal experience, I did experience that. And, you know, I didn't realize what I was doing at the time many years ago. And I was, you know, channeling beings and things like that. But it actually caused me great harm. It was very detrimental to my physical self, to my nervous system, to so many aspects of myself. And so that's what I love so much about the Warrior Mystery School is that it really is a coming back home to yourself in this body, in this earth, in this time and space right now. And how do we look at all of these other aspects of our multidimensional self and everything that exists outside of the earth and really ground and bring that back to our experience here and why we are here in these earthly, you know, carbon-based dense bodies. So that's been a
Yeah.
huge piece that I've taken from Warrior Mystery School.
Ooh, I love that. Yes, coming home to the self. It's single-handedly the most powerful, profound journey that you could ever take, not just in this lifetime, just really being on planet Earth, you know, to trust that as you are today, who you are today is the most powerful, unique, out of this universe experience of your life. So trying to escape this to go elsewhere, to try go be other people, is
Mm-hmm.
a little bit like, yeah. Um, yeah, if we are doing that, it's because maybe we don't yet understand what it means that we are here today in this moment, you know, and that's what the mystery school is here for, to help us truly understand why we are alive today, why we are alive in the bodies we are alive in the genders we are alive in the races we are alive in the lands that we're finding ourselves in. Every single thing has a bigger purpose, and it's also quite connected to every single person in your life as well as the entire planet. Right? We are like this little piece of this bigger body called Mother Earth, and I just for us to come to that deeper understanding, then we can understand there isn't any part of our lives or part of ourselves that is wrong, you know, that shouldn't be there, that, you know, is a mistake that you will be punished for, or whatever story you can come up with, and appreciating that whatever it is that you are going through, that you have went through, every single part of it will always bring within it this power, this gift that you can use to understand your experiences and to continue to be in service, you know, to yourself, to your family, and to other people as well. And obviously, ultimately, to God, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, yeah, the, the way in which you've assembled the teachings of Warrior Mystery School, and even in the sequencing in which it's in, is just, um, you know, I know you always give credit more so to your higher self in that sense, that that you're, you know, just really listening to the guidance, you know, from God as far as that's concerned. But it was just done so so perfectly, to where, you know, each thing that we learned really brought us to the next piece, and we had to learn something, you know, before we got to this other part of the puzzle, because it does become overwhelming. There's so much to look at, as far as, you know, the spiritual practices, the ancestral stuff, the emotional parts. There's so many different layers to it that I just want to like thank you for the way in which you've delivered everything, because you know, daily I find myself going back through my notes and reading things that I know are going to help me in that moment, and help me to bring back more of myself, and the fragmented parts. And yeah, that's really one of the most beautiful processes I think that I've had in that, is that what you just shared of, there's nothing, no part of us is wrong or broken or not meant to be. We are here on this journey, and we're just all learning as we go. So it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to not realize things or come into a realization at a particular time. You know, when we're supposed to, we'll come into these knowings and these realizations about ourselves and about the greater, you know, a world that we exist in.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I mean, I have said that the first time I ran Warrior Mystery School, I actually didn't know what the modules were. All I knew was apparently I'm gonna teach people. And each time, every Sunday, like on Saturday, I'll be freaking out. I'm like, what am I gonna teach? And one of the other things that I really wanted to bring to the Warrior Mystery School is to make it this experiential process, where it's not just about us learning theories and learning concepts, but actually feeling and beginning to trust and cultivate our spiritual aspects, our spirituality, which is who we are. You know, so I think part of the reason why in the first round of the Warrior Mystery School I was my spiritual counsel, they were like, don't worry, every day, every Sunday, we will tell you what needs to be taught. It was also to cultivate a deeper trust for me, to trust spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And what a mystery school, honestly, when you say yes to it, it's completely about trust in spirit and just taking this big leap to go do something that you may have never went through, that maybe even your human is like, oh my God, this is crazy. I'm going to go on a 1 year. What is this? I can also just vouch as the teacher, as the mentor there, that I went through the process of like always asking myself, what is this? What are we doing? What am I teaching tomorrow? You know? And I shared with the warriors on Sunday that like each group I kept refining and refining and obviously deepening and adding other new teachings as well, and finding other ways for us to remember all together. And it's definitely been such a joy to learn and to practice what is the right way in which we're supposed to be learning what we need to learn in our spiritual path, without overwhelming ourselves, but also without lying and leaving us be stuck in these illusions of thinking we are having a true spiritual experience, when we're just really just kind of like stuck in a loop that is not taking us to true transformation, to true healing, to true alchemy, you know. So this is what the mystery school is definitely presented. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, Eagle. It's been such a joy having you in the mystery school, as well as having you here today. Is there anything else that you want to share that maybe I didn't ask?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to confirm all of that. I think that was something that was coming up this past week was what this last year has really cultivated for me is this absolute and deep trust in spirit. And there's a surrendering that has to happen in that process. And you know, as I look back at my process over the last year, I remember before that had happened and where I was at in my life in so many different ways. And the faith, the deep trust, the deep knowing that we will always be supported, we will always be taken care of. We will never be without as far as, you know, whether it's the physical things in life, the food, the water, the shelter, but also the larger aspect of things, the love, the purity, the joy. There's there's a way in which I live my life now that is just so anchored in that deep knowing and trust of I let it go as far as my own control over it. And you know, I come from, my mom is very kind of controlling about situations and things because of this fear, you know, that we have, and we don't trust. So we have this fear of needing to control things so that it goes the way that we want them to. But I've really just surrendered to this full ability to allow what God is going to offer and provide for us to really happen. And I think that that's yeah, there's like this huge weight that just got lifted off of my shoulders in that process. So to be able to live our life in that state of knowing and trust is quite miraculous, I would say. So
Yes. Beautiful. Oh my God. Thank you so much. This is all I've ever wanted, for us to have that deep, deep knowing we are held, we are supported, we have never been abandoned, and that every single thing that we need, it's always within us. And if it's not within you, it's within your beloveds who, if you ask, they will give you. If you allow, you will receive it. Ask and it is given all the time.
yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing, Eagle. Yeah, this has been so wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so
Send
much
her
for
some love. Let's send Eagle some love as she says bye.
thank you, everybody. Thank you, Joy. I'm so grateful. Very honored. Thank you.
Yay. Marcus. Yay. Okay, I think you kind of just leave. I don't know. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so let me just um yes, thank you everyone for joining. That was Ego. She's a Warrior Mistress Code class of 2022. For those who are joining, the class of 2023 is open. We are beginning in 11 days. So July 1st, we're going to be beginning the next cohort. This is a 1 year experience. It's 1 year because there is so much that we need to relearn, that we need to heal, that we need to alchemize, that we need to remember, and that we need to come back home to. Right? So I love taking my time with things because I don't think that quick fixes are sustainable in any way. Doing things just quickly, doing one session is enough. It cannot be enough because we've been through so many things in our lives. Our ancestors have been through so many things in their lives. So the Mistress School was created particularly for us to deeply heal the different aspects of ourselves: the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body, and the spiritual body. So if you go into my bio link here on this Instagram page, you can see where it says Warrior Mystery School, and you can click and read more about how the mystery school works, right? We have our classes every Sundays. Well, not every Sundays, 3 Sundays in the month, and then we have a break, and then we come back, and so on. And it's a pretty powerful experience if you're looking for that support that and one of the reasons why actually Warrior Mystery School is done with a group of other people is because this path can be very lonely and confusing. And part of the reason why I created it is because the first a good 8 years of my spiritual journey, I was just by myself and figuring it out. And it took such a long time to figure it out. And I feel like I wouldn't want any other person to take that long to figure out what is happening with them and to them. So Warrior Mystery School is that container for having community, having other people who are going through the same thing you're going through, be there with you, be your mirrors, and also be your support, like your physical support. I think Ego can tell you that she has definitely found sisters with the other Warrior Mystery School alumni, Basako, who we had last week Sunday. We had her conversation here, so you can go check that out. And all the other Warrior Mystery School students from this past group, right? So, yes, Chingu, you are asking what was the book that you mentioned. The book that is one of my favorite books is called The Nature of Personal Reality. And it's by Jane Roberts. I think I shared it in the book read under highlights. You can go to check some of the books that were recommended that I also recommend as well. And I'll keep adding other books that I've also read that have changed my life. But yeah, The Nature of Personal Reality. I do want to say that it's a pretty PhD book. By PhD, it's like most people, they're like, oh, Joy, this is such a hassle. It's so difficult to read it. And that's part of why I also created the Warrior Mystery School, because I wanted to come and break down some big concepts that often when you try to read books that try to explain it, it may be difficult to get it. Yes, so yay. Thank you. Yes, Sisterhood for Love. I do want to say the Warrior Mystery School is not for women only. It's actually for genetic pathcutters. These are people who really want to heal themselves and heal their bloodline and step into their higher purpose so that they can be in service in the ways that their soul is called to be in service to humankind in this time, right? It's just, I guess, men are just like hesitant to join, but it's not just for women. And actually already we are going to have a couple of men joining this time around. So that's going to be interesting and really, really cool. Yes. So thank you so much. Just for your awareness, I'm going to be coming this week with a 3-part series that I'm going to do here on Instagram. And this is particularly because I've been in session and realizing the importance of us having very basic foundational understanding of inner healing, just the basic inner child, mother wound, father wound healing that we need to go through if we are on a spiritual path. Why you can't skip that, why you can't skip looking into your relationship with your mother and with your father, why you can't skip your relationship with your inner child who is holding the pain you have went through. So I'm going to be sharing that, and just also obviously going to have a live exercises that will help you connect with these energies. This is also a preview of what we go through in the Mystery School. So I hope you join me this coming week, all in preparation for Warrior Mystery School in July. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day.